false odds. Sound check?
Yes.
Okay. Uno, dos. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah, this door's,
Okay, hold on a
this
second.
door's locked, so do we?
It's supposed to be.
Oh, keep it then.
It does?
We generally would prefer people come in the other door so that they're not walking through the middle of the news conference.
I did, I'll check it again.
So, cool. From Signature Select, I present Refreshe, purified drinking water. It's worth a nickel.
And that's it, both times are going to the same one, so you should hear both.
You should hear both.
Okay, perfect.
We good? 2, 2, 2.
Okay, bye. Oh, yeah, yeah. This is way too big, because it's running all over the place. Yeah, I didn't know about it. I was looking at my time trying to figure out where it is, but nothing.
You need to talk to the designer, perhaps? I don't have an answer for you there.
It does seem like California should be like at the top. The way it's like
Like it should be like California.
Exactly.
California at the top of the center, yeah. Like, I mean, I'm not a graphic designer.
I don't know, but I agree. That sounds right. Of course, it would look silly to do that and have it facing the wrong way.
Yeah.
This is the way it's currently.
Yeah.
I think it should be like, yeah, California like this, and then stay in the center, like
Yeah.
directly on the block.
Yeah.
Gotta talk to DGF.
We have some I have no idea.
I think it should be neon purple, neon green. Can't color them like this guy now.
I think different colors would be very fun if we switched from green and red.
Also, it's like oddly like not center. It's like
Green and gold.
When it happens, it's gone. Where's my grandpa?
Yeah.
Well, this is going to LA because I'm the bureau guy, so I don't like
But it's just nice not to have to wait.
I think so, yeah.
You are
Hey,
first among many.
you had a buzzer beater with some of the tweets and stuff. Plastic design. What time did it start? 12 minutes.
12:15 is the scheduled start.
I'll just. Yeah, I'll just.
The chairs are comfy.
How is everybody?
All right, how about you?
Aside from the horrible news.
Good. Today's just in time for this program.
Sorry.
No, not yet.
Lily, do you want to take a picture of me? Or you can say.
She's on vacation, so not today.
Alright, since I'm here, this is Sharon Quirk Silva. No, I'm joking. We're just gonna take a photo. Okay. Okay. Well, we can all agree this is a horrendous decision made by the Supreme Court. What? Like I'm what? Oh.
They're like, okay, get the intro, people talking, and then leave.
Breaking stuff over there, Gabe? What are you doing to that handle?
Yeah, yeah, that's fair, that's fair. No, realistically. No, I'm like, do you guys even have this skill?
Well, I'm gonna take this up here.
Okay, just wanna make sure.
6-3, yeah. Kavanaugh's, concurring opinions of important. He's like, no, like, you got it all wrong. All they do is they stop and they ask them, like, can I just see your ID real quick? And then that's it, and they let them go. No, dude, that's not. But it's intentional. I mean, they're not idiots. Unlike the.
You brought a reporter with you. What are you doing about it? Oh my gosh.
Oh, I know.
All right, Brian, you all plugged in there? Looks like everybody's plugged in. We're about 4 minutes out. Do one more. Are you not getting anything?
You made it.
Could be.
Hey, I have a quick question for whoever sent today's media release,
That's a great question. I don't know who might that have been.
because none of the television journalists who covered the Capitol actually received it. We all got it in a text message, so
Really?
had it not been for that, none of us would be here.
Wow.
But just saying.
That doesn't sound like the way to make it work right.
I don't think so.
How we doing, Brian? We got any audio yet? Let's see what we got. Spectrum, you okay there? 1, 2, 3. Rudy, I know you're set. Gabe, we're good to go, right? Still nothing? Very low. Okay. Let's try that, see if it works. Talk to me, Brian. 1, 2, 3, 4. How we doing? Much better? Good. Okay, final audio check, everybody. 1, 2, 3, 4. Everybody good? About 3 minutes out. If staff can go over to the conference room table side, that would be helpful.
she's gonna be here.
She's gonna be here?
So, here's the order right now, who we have.
Okay.
So do you wanna kick it off? Do you want me to kick it off?
I can kick it off.
Okay.
The only reason I ask about who's starting is because we need you to watch the guy in the burgundy colored shirt. Gabe will give you the cue when to begin. Once everybody's in place, we need about 15 seconds to set up the live stream. Okay?
So I'll kick it, I'll give it to you, and you give it back to me, and then we go down the line?
Yeah.
Okay.
So some of them were supposed to just wanna make sure that we Well, it would have been nice for you to be here a little bit earlier. We just put this together so you don't wanna write it.
Mersucci, Al?
Yeah.
Don't get old, Liz, don't get old.
Trying not to.
You don't wanna get hot flashes.
Okay. Who? Sabrina? Yeah.
I'm ready. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Assemblymember Juan Carrillo. I want to thank you for being here today, joining us this afternoon with the terrible news that we received this morning from the Supreme Court, and essentially just gave into what we've experienced in LA with the fear that our communities will now continue to be snatched off the streets just because of the color of my skin and my accent. That is the reason why we decided to have this press conference here, so that we all can show our unity on the terrible news that are happening around our nations, particularly in California and Los Angeles. And with that, I'd like to introduce Assemblymember Liz Ortega, Vice Chair, Northern California, the Latino Caucus.
Good afternoon. Thank you to our Vice Chair, Juan Carrillo, and our Chair, Senator Lina Gonzalez, and all of our colleagues for coming together very quickly as we got word of Donald Trump's Supreme Court judges who just made it legal for masked men to snatch innocent people off the streets. Moms and dads on their way to work who are ending up losing their children. Trump's war on immigrants was never about safety. This confirms it. It was always about racism and intimidating workers. Like many others in the state of California, I came to this country when I was 3 years old. And my parents didn't just come here in search of the American dream. They came here to contribute to it, and they have. And they were given a path to citizenship and honor this country like no other. But today, once again, we have been shown what Donald Trump and his Supreme Court have had in mind this entire time. With that, I will pass it over to Assemblymember Al Marisucci.
Thank you very much, Vice Chair Ortega. I'm Al Marisucci, Assembly Member from the Los Angeles County, and I'm here to absolutely condemn the United States Supreme Court from allowing the racial profiling to target our immigrant communities. You know, as the only Japanese American in the California legislature, the last time that the United States government engaged in this kind of racial profiling was 80 years ago, when they went after Japanese Americans, incarcerated over 125,000 Japanese Americans solely based on their race. We should have learned those lessons, and yet we're seeing this playing out again. This is not acceptable. We are fighting back here to protect all of our immigrant communities. I have a bill, Assembly Bill 49, the California Safe Haven Schools Act. Now is all the more important for us to protect our immigrant students, our immigrant families, to provide them safe havens, not only in our schools, but to stop this racial profiling.
And with that, we'd like to hear from Assemblymember Mike Fong.
Thank you so much, Mr. Carrillo, and proud to join all my colleagues up here today in solidarity to denounce the ruling from the highest court in the country, the ruling that allows mass federal agents to racially profile our communities, to racially profile Californians, Angelinos with no due process, to kidnap them off the streets with no evidence and warrant, and to take them away with no explanation. This is un-American. This is unjust, and the API Legislative Caucus stands in strong solidarity with all my colleagues up here today in denouncing these rulings. And to my colleagues, Assemblymember Murasucci, Assemblymember Caloza, Assemblymember Patel, and to the rest of my colleagues, we stand in strong solidarity to continue to embrace and uplift our diverse immigrant communities in these very challenging times. As you heard from one of my colleagues, the action today is unjust, it's unlawful, it's not law enforcement, it's lawlessness. And the Supreme Court is allowing this to continue. I implore the administration to stop the raids. The API Legislative Caucus stands with immigrants across California, affirming that every family deserves to live in dignity, in safe and welcoming surroundings. We will continue to amplify and uplift the most vulnerable in our communities and protect the values of inclusion that define our state of California. Thank you so much. With that, I'd like to introduce Senator Cervantes, Chair of the LGBTQ Caucus.
Thank you for joining us today and standing in solidarity with our immigrant neighbors who are once again being targeted by the Trump administration. I am Senator Sabrina Cervantes, Vice Chair of the California Legislative LGBTQ Caucus and State Senator for the 31st Senate District in Riverside County. Today we are faced with yet another dangerous and unjust decision from the highest court in the land. The MAGA majority Supreme Court ruling, which effectively empowers ICE agents to carry out unchecked raids in our communities, is an attack on families, on human dignity, and on the very essence of justice. This ruling, this intentional decision, is not just about immigration policy. Let's be clear. This is not just about immigration policy. Instead, this ruling invites racial profiling and creates a system where communities of color are targeted for simply existing in public spaces. Every day, when folks are walking down the street, picking up your kids, or going to work, now carries the threat of detention. We've seen before when people of color are treated as if they don't belong in their own neighborhoods. This decision opens a door for ICE to stop, frisk, and detain without cause, just because of how someone looks, speaks, or where they happen to be in that moment. This sets a dangerous precedent that threatens the fundamental freedoms of millions of people, which is not only a travesty, but truly a stain on our nation. And these raids don't make us safer, especially when we know many of those rounded up have no criminal record. These raids create fear, they create distrust, and silence communities who are now even more afraid to report crimes, seek help, and live freely. Even worse, there are reports of people pretending to be ICE agents to round up and attack women and girls. That is not safety. That is state-sanctioned cruelty. To the families affected by this ruling, we see you, we stand with you, and we will fight for you. I call on my colleagues in our communities surrounding throughout California and the nation to act now. Our schools, hospitals, places of worship, and neighborhoods must be safe from the reach of ICE. Public spaces should not be a place of fear. We will not be silenced, we will not back down, and we will fight until no one is targeted for simply existing. Thank you for the Latino Legislative Caucus for your leadership and for every diversity caucus standing in solidarity. I'd like to call up our Assembly colleague, also another member of the LGBTQ Caucus, Assemblymember Mark Gonzalez.
Thank you all for being here. Thank you, colleagues. Thank you to our chairs of our coalitions and our other caucuses here in the state. My name is Assemblymember Mark Gonzalez, and I represent the 54th Assembly District, the heart of downtown Los Angeles and surrounding communities. I, along with Senator Durazo, we represent a proud, vibrant community that has been under assault by both ICE and this racist federal administration from every corner at every crossroads that makes Los Angeles what it truly is. Since June 6, just 94 days ago, this administration has unleashed coordinated military-style immigration raids targeting families, workers, and even U.S. citizens based solely on the color of their skin or the language that they speak. They are roaming our streets with rifles and armored vehicles, turning our neighborhoods into complete and utter war zones. We've seen unidentified masked agents storm hospitals, car washes, even immigration courts, targeting those showing up for appointments abiding by the law. We've seen them chase down day laborers outside of Home Depots and abducting parents while children are in our streets just simply trying to go to school. Grocery stores, dialysis appointments. Imagine families being ripped apart, all for political play by this administration. And now the Supreme Court, the highest court in the land, has chosen to side with Trump and his enforcers, and this court has greenlit government-sanctioned oppression. They have authorized a race-based manhunt. If you have brown skin, if you speak another language, you can now be abducted and deported by secret police. No questions, no due process, all completely gone. All of the rights that have created the foundation of this country, making Latinos who've made this country the fourth largest economy in the world. What happened to the Equal Protection Clause? Our Constitution says clearly, no state shall deny any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the law. Today, the Supreme Court stamped that promise with an asterisk, unless you are brown. This is a betrayal of the Constitution, a betrayal of our values, and a betrayal of the people and everybody that you see here behind me and the folks that we represent every single day. The United States has entered a darker chapter where the guardrails of democracy have completely crumbled, and the rights of millions are left to the whims of one man and his racist ideology. We refuse to stay silent. We know that we represent our community. This is our home. This is our neighborhood. These are our people. These are our gente. We will all fight for everything that we have to protect them and protect their dignity and to protect the promise of justice for everyone who calls California home. And I'd like to invite up Gail Pellerin, representing the Jewish Caucus.
Thank you all for being here today. The Jewish Caucus stands with our Latino caucus and other diversity caucuses to oppose the Supreme Court's ruling allowing the continued use of ICE raids in our communities. This decision undermines the safety and dignity of immigrant families who contribute every day to the strength of California and our nation. As Jews, we know all too well the pain of persecution, displacement, and the fear of government-sanctioned targeting. Our tradition calls on us to welcome the stranger and to pursue justice. ICE raids, often carried out with little regard, no regard to due process, family stability, or basic human rights, violate these core values and perpetuate cycles of trauma and fear. This ruling is not only a legal setback, but also a moral failing. It will embolden practices that tear families apart, destabilize neighborhoods, and deepen mistrust between our immigrant communities and our government institutions. California must continue to stand as a beacon of compassion and fairness, pushing back against policies that criminalize and dehumanize our neighbors. The Jewish Caucus reaffirms our commitment to fighting for humane immigration policies that honor the dignity of every person and keep families together. I'd now like to bring up our Majority Floor Leader, Chair of our Women's Caucus, Assemblymember Cecilia Aguilar-Cruz. Oh, Maggie, okay, Maggie, okay.
Hey, good morning, everybody. My name is Maggie Krell. I represent Sacramento Assembly District 6. I rise in solidarity with my colleagues on behalf of the Legislative Women's Caucus. Today's Supreme Court ruling is disturbing. I will first talk about the way it was done, and then I'll talk about the merits of it. In terms of the way it was done on the shadow docket. That means that there wasn't full briefing, there wasn't oral argument, there wasn't a chance for amicus briefs, and there wasn't pre-meetings between the justices to discuss it. In other words, it was a fast ruling without due process. The litigants did not get their full day in court before the Supreme Court decided, or a majority of the Supreme Court decided, that roving patrols in California can continue. These roving patrols are racist. Los Angeles is a long way from the border, and the Home Depot in South Sacramento, that's even further. What's happening right now upends our entire Constitution. People are being stopped without probable cause, without reasonable suspicion, without articulable facts other than the color of their skin. It's wrong, and I stand in solidarity with my colleagues in calling it out.
Next, I'd like to call Assemblymember Mike Gibson.
Thank you very much. Good morning, good afternoon. Mike Gibson, representing the 65th Assembly District, but also standing in strong solidarity with the Legislative Black Caucus, standing in solidarity with the Latino Caucus and all the different diversity caucus that makes up the California State Assembly. The ruling is wrong, plain and simple. We denounced the Supreme Court for a backroom deal that was made merely and purely on behalf of the President of the United States of America. This reminds me of what happened to black people during the 60s and the 50s. Walking down the street while black, being kidnapped, being lynched in trees. And we saw what that happened. It's chronicled in our books and in the very fabric of this United States of America. It was revealed also in a book called Project 2025. We stand in solidarity to push back on this administration, to have what has taken place in third world countries, where individuals jumping out of vehicles with masks on and kidnapping individuals. It's wrong in those third world countries, and it's wrong in the United States of America. We stand in strong solidarity. We will do everything that we can within our powers in California to push back against these kinds of attacks against people just because of the color of their skin. It's wrong, it's wrong, it's wrong. And to this president who called himself, this is a convicted felon. Let's call it out. And how dare he attack the very fabric of what makes California great. Our immigrant community is what makes up America, what makes up California, and what makes up the greatness of this country. And how dare he take children, the most vulnerable people among us, out of our streets and our communities. We denounce him, and we denounce the United States Supreme Court. How dare them?
Thank you. And the last one to make remarks is going to be Assemblymember Sharon Quirk-Silva. Then after that, we'll take some questions.
Good afternoon. I'm Assemblymember Sharon Quirk-Silva, representing parts of Orange County and Los Angeles. The Supreme Court decision, of course, we've already heard, is not only alarming, it's abusive. And I stand and we stand with Justice Sotomayor, and we dissent. But it's also heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking because of the terrorizing that we've already seen. This is the summer of raids. It's the summer of terror. It's the summer of families being torn apart. It's the summer that a thriving economy has been attacked, where vibrant communities have quieted. And we should all be outraged. Not just Latino community members, but all of us. We should all be afraid. Because for those of you who think it's only them, and for those of you who think it's only there, it is everywhere. And for those of us who are in suits today, yes, maybe we won't be pulled into a car, but we could be if we change our clothes, if we change where we're walking. And for any of you who think that, oh, it's not me because I stand with this group, don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. And if you have a passport or you have a green card or a birth certificate, guess what? They're not accepting that. They're still jailing people. So we should all not only be outraged, but terrified. but I'm proud to stand with this caucus and the diversity caucuses to say we will do everything here in California to stay strong, to continue to rage about what is happening, but to also do everything we can with our legislative processes. And as we head into the last week of session, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it from our Republican colleagues who say, oh, stand on love or whatever it is they talk about, because they are part of this cruelty. They are part of this, and they cannot stand before of us and lecture us or gaslight us. The Supreme Court is cowardly, and we have many others who are cowardly. Stand with our community, and we all do.
Thank you. We have one more speaker, Senate Pro Tem-elect Monique Limon.
Buenas tardes. Good afternoon, everybody. Senator Monique Limon. In June and early August, our community saw incredible raids, particularly in our farm workers, amongst our farm workers. And what we learned then is that those raids were targeted based on where people work, and certainly didn't stop there. When you look at what happened in Camarillo, California in August, you saw that U.S. citizens were detained. You saw that veterans, military veterans were detained for speaking out. And so we start to see that the threats that we had feared, the moments that we have feared, are now going to be solidified by the Supreme Court's decision. It is going to now be okay to make certain claims and discriminate based on where you work, based on the language you speak, based on what you look like, in the name of the federal government's priorities. And that is why we are here united, speaking against this, making sure that everyone knows that the Supreme Court's decision is a continuing and added threat to our communities in California that already are experiencing injustice, that are experiencing a collapsing judicial system, a collapsing rule of law that has been the foundation of this country's Constitution. So we're here in solidarity to speak out against the Supreme Court's decision, but also to let everyone know, because everyone is impacted. It is not just our immigrant community. As I said, it is also U.S. citizens. It is also members of unions. It is people who speak multiple languages. It is our military veterans who have fought around the world to protect these freedoms, to protect these rights that are now in jeopardy. And we're here in solidarity to speak out against it and to let Californians know that we share their concern, that we share their commitment to uphold the values that our Constitution affords every single person in this country. Thank you.
To all my colleagues, thanks again for ceding the call of urgency. I'll wrap it up with just also expressing that we have a number of pieces of legislation that are going through the process right now, and urge our colleagues to support each and one of these, and also send a message to the governor that while our Supreme Court and those judges who are there to support Donald Trump's calling, we ask that he support ours and the immigrants that live in this state and in this country by signing the many pieces of legislation that we are moving through the process and will soon be on his desk. I will stop there and open it up for questions.
Speaking of that,
yes.
On the face mask ban for law enforcement proposal, U.S. Border Patrol Sector Chief Gregory Rubino told me it was pretty clear that it's not something he's going to follow, even if you all pass it. And obviously, we've probably challenged in court. And at the same time, local law enforcement is now really upset about this proposal that apparently would no longer apply to CHP. I understand the bill authors, they're not here, but just, I mean, what is the likelihood that that gets out by Friday?
We're going to do everything we can and continue to push it as an issue. It is something that's been brought to, raised as a concern by many individuals. And we've talked about, you know, we as legislators have to carry our ID. We have to show our ID and say who we are. Most of our local police departments have to do the same. They have to identify themselves. So what we're saying is that it's not okay to just show up in unmarked vans, wearing masks, not identifying yourself, and kidnapping people, because that is what is happening today. And so we will continue to push this bill forward and see what we end up with at the end.
Do you feel like this decision will add urgency to that bill? Because obviously, like Ashley was saying, it's kind of a controversial effort. I mean, some of your own Democratic colleagues didn't support it in committee.
I think all of our bill packages will, every single one of the bills that we have currently moving through the process are even more urgent, because as we've seen throughout this whole process, the Supreme Court, by judges that were appointed by Donald Trump, are not upholding the law that we've had here, the fundamental laws that have been the basis of our country for a very long time are no longer in place. So I'm confident that all of these bills will now have an even bigger sense of urgency if they didn't before, and hopefully get to the governor's desk.
Can you talk about some of the other legislation you're referring to?
Yes, I don't know if any of the legislators are here. Yes, so we have Senator Durazo. Would you like to talk about SB 635?
Well, I have two bills. One is about street vendors, about not sharing the information, the sensitive information that when they go through the process of getting their business licenses and permits, that information would not be shared. And also to strengthen the Attorney General's office in providing policy guidelines when it comes to local and state offices like the DMV or anywhere. But it'll be much stronger language for people to be able to go into these offices and get their services and not have to worry about that being picked up. Can I just add one thing?
Yes.
I also, Maria Elena Durazo, with representing Los Angeles, Central and East Los Angeles, I just also want to put a call out to everyone who's not brown, not black, not Asian, not someone that these raids will directly impact. We need everyone to stand up and denounce what this United States Supreme Court is doing and what Trump is doing. It is disgraceful, and we cannot be separated from one from another, saying, well, it's going to happen in that community. In Los Angeles County, there are almost 5 million Latinos, almost 5 million Latinos. Every community will be impacted, but it's not enough for us to stand up and fight and have the courage to fight back and defend this Constitution. It's up to everybody. So I really urge every organization, every individual, do everything that you can to protect our democracy. Thank you.
And similar to that, I mean, we've seen, this isn't new either. We've seen things like this happen throughout history. We had Operation Wetback. We had Japanese encampments. We've seen this before. Their difference is now we're living in it. We're seeing it. We're feeling it. We're not reading about it in history books. With that, I will ask Assemblymember Marisucci to talk about AB 49.
Thank you. So I mentioned earlier Assembly Bill 49, the California Safe Haven Schools Act. It is joint authored by myself, Latino Caucus Chair Senator Lina Gonzalez, Vice Chair Liz Ortega, and Celeste Rodriguez, to require a valid judicial warrant or court order before allowing any ICE officials onto our California public school grounds. We know that children cannot learn if they are afraid of ICE agents coming onto their school campuses, of being separated from their families. For decades, we had bipartisan agreement that schools should be off limits from ICE and immigration activities. Unfortunately, in January of this year, the Trump administration has reversed that decades-long bipartisan policy, and that is why AB 49, along with all of the other bills that are jointly supported by the Latino and API caucuses, as well as all of our diversity caucuses, today's decision adds urgency to the need to protect our immigrant students, our immigrant families.
each other, and therefore they're basically making the scenes that they are because of it. And I just wonder, actually, that's a very long-winded way of asking if it's just an absolute non-starter to change anything about SB 54 and California sanctuary state law.
SB 54 is not the problem. It is Donald Trump. It is the appointees that he has put onto the Supreme Court. It is his leadership team that continue to paint us out as criminals when he is the only criminal in the White House. All right, thank you, everyone.